Hey everyone, it's me, Alyssa. I also go by Lyss or Alsira, whichever is okay. I'm gonna make this a very quick video. I am working on a couple other videos while slowly getting my mojo back. I have a Substack, you should read that. A paid sub is also appreciated. You can support me via Linktree, you know the whole deal. I'm gonna be shedding light on some drama that happened in the book community, and it all started with a quote-unquote joke. Put that in quotes because that's subjective. Intro and disclaimers. As I've said before, I am Alyssa. I'm a 27-year-old indie writer and digital artist from New York, born and raised. I have a bachelor's of arts in English, concentrating in creative writing with a minor in film and video studies, as well as an MFA in creative writing. I have self-published 2 poetry books, Kaleidoscope and Death Throes. You can find those on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Despite these accolades, I am not an expert on the English language and English literature, the craft of writing, nor the craft of video productions. We will be talking about disabilities, ableism, and anti-intellectualism, and racism. I am not an expert in those fields. I do have cognitive disabilities and I am autistic and have ADHD. I do not speak for those communities. I encourage you all to have individual opinions and express them in the comments down below. We are respectful, not assholes. Do not, under any circumstances, harass anyone mentioned in this video. With that being said, let's take a look at the quote-unquote joke that started us all. I don't have the original screenshots with me, so I'll be referring to book chats with Shelley for her video. You can check that out. So, the joke started with this user who said, "Authors, I'm begging, please use easy words." And there was a screenshot of an AI overview defining a word that this user must not be familiar with. What is that word? Scrying. A divination practice where magic users use a reflecting surface to search for something. Now, Shelley got really excited with this because this was a word and practice used in her favorite show, Charmed. By the way, I was named after Alyssa Milano. I will admit I did have to look up the word because though I was familiar with the word, I wanted to make sure I wasn't confusing it for another word. Now, it wasn't the user sparked controversy for not knowing a word, but it was her quote-unquote begging authors to use easy words. What's an easy word for scrying? Magical searching? Reflective hunting? I don't know. I don't remember if I saw through the comments of that post, but the backlash was so bad that the user got bullied off the platform. Before I head to the next section, I want to just sit here and say that it's okay if you read a book that has difficult words. This is why you have dictionaries and glossaries and online resources. This is why the library exists. The super readers, come on! Sorry, I've been watching that show lately, so that's why I brought them up. We do not always know who is reading what. It could be a language barrier, learning a new language, reading at a higher reading level. I'm not here to sound patronizing or infantilizing. The literacy rate is declining in recent decades in this country, and it needs to be fixed, and the U.S. administration isn't making it any better. I don't know how it is in other countries, but I can only speak for the U.S. The rise of anti-intellectualism and Dunning-Kruger is fucking us readers and authors in the ass, but we can fight back, one word, one page at a time. Now you must be thinking, Alyssa, how is this post ableist? I don't see anything ableist about this screenshot. You are correct. There's nothing ableist about this post. There were, however, ableist slurs and ableist insults being thrown in the comments, and what really made the situation ableist was in the comment a certain person who is associated we will speak about later said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with readers asking for easier words. If that upsets you so much, check your ableism. Where's the ableism in using big words? Where's the ableism? I would love to know. Not to mention how vague it is not to specify which disability group you're talking about, because this is not a vacuum. Disabled folks are not a monolith. Not everyone has the same experience. The spectrum. I don't like how disability is being used as a defense or a scapegoat whenever it comes to downplaying learning, because no, you are not going to use this like that. And if this writer, yes, I said writer, is disabled, shame on them. I made a post about this, and I said I was going to use even bigger words in my works. And someone said that no one said it was able to use big words. No one said that. What did this person say? What did they say? Looking back at this, it seems like there was a miscommunication as well as a misread. Because how do you see this post and not think that they said they're using big words as ableist? How do you not see that? Then the commenter starts talking about how they spoke with so many people with cognitive disabilities who say that they do need easier words. Oh my god! What a disability activist! I'll reiterate this. It is not the author's responsibility to write books with easier words just because their audience doesn't get big words. Read at your level. If you wish to read something beyond your understanding, then there are resources to help you with words you may not know. I also would like to add that I commented a few times in Shelley's video, and I mentioned about that person saying how people with cognitive disabilities need easier words. And I felt like that was just very infantilizing and generalizing the entire community. And like someone commented, like it doesn't matter. Like people with cognitive disabilities still need to develop skills to process words. Like you can't get away from that. And I know how difficult it is learning new things and having your disability work against you. Trust me, I know what that's like. But it's not an impossibility. You still need to develop those skills to analyze and process what you're consuming. Those skills still need to develop. You can't get away from that. Saying that it's ableist to use big words is ableist. Now this commenter says that the conversation was about how people are being mocked for not knowing big words is rooted in ableism. I'll give him that, but it's not inherently ableist. There are many factors involved in this, such as classism, lack of accessibility, education. People are so quick to use disabled people as a punching bag without knowing what the fuck they are talking about. My experience will not be the same as another person with cognitive disabilities, and I will not claim that I'm superior to that person. I will not. There's so much shit going on in the autism community, and the ADHD community, and so many communities that I'm a part of, that when all of this gets mixed up and is boiling hot shit soup, I find myself in a very conflicted and highly wired place where I have to wash my mouth before I end up offending someone by accident. So think twice before you decide to advocate for a community that you may or may not be a part of. If people can speak, they can speak. I want to go back to the commenter who said, check your ableism. I didn't check this person's bio until someone else said who they worked for. This commenter who said, check your ableism, is T. Franklin, a comic book writer for Marvel and DC. And this is what they fucking comment. You ought to be ashamed of yourself to throw disabled people on the bus like that. You talk about diversity, disability, and queer spaces, and this is how you treat that. To those that are criticizing this writer, keep the racism out of it, because a lot of people are using it as an excuse to bully black women based on her race or skin color. This happens every single time a black person, especially a black woman, is being scrutinized, and it's not okay, and the fact that a lot of social media platforms are taking it seriously or contributing to the misogyny war, which is a very concentrated racism and sexism bag against black women. However, that does not mean that we shouldn't criticize a person on the stupid shit that they say just to avoid being called racist or sexist. That is not fair criticism. Then she doubles down in later posts, and listen, respect is a two-way road. You are not always right. You need to accept when you are wrong and recognize who your allies and enemies are. Activism and advocacy are such difficult routes to follow because people expect you to be perfect. If you do one wrong thing or something that is deemed immoral, suddenly you are the worst person in the world and you will never get that stage back. And if you do, your audience will be very scarce. That is not a threat. That is fact based on what we've seen in the past. And it mostly happens to people of color. White people get away with a lot more. One more thing before the end. T. Franklin is a comic book writer. For the longest while, comic books, or the idea of graphic novels have been debated as a form of literature due to their format and marketability. It is an issue of gatekeeping elitism in literature, and it takes a lot for a graphic novelist to be taken seriously in a category of literature. That's all I'm going to say in that bit. If you reached this far, please comment an emoji relating to magic, books, or a turtle. I would love to hear your opinions in the comments below. Be respectful, not assholes. Support me via Linktree, buy my books via Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or commission my art via Ko-Fi. Or you can just donate. Most of the selling books I've read via Penguin Books is US only. Support indie creators and queer creators. Make sure to hydrate and be safe. Bye!